Hey guys, welcome back. It's me, Devaraj, and I wanted to continue this kind of offhand, occasional series talking about elements of bioenergetic theory and looking today at the idea of head consciousness and body consciousness, or mind consciousness and body consciousness, because they are two distinct things. Probably in the West, the most significant character in bioenergetics is Alexander Lowen, who passed away about a decade ago, and he was a big therapist, originally a psychotherapist over in the States, and he spoke about this quite a bit as well, or he wrote about it more accurately. But essentially, it's a very useful concept, I find, to really grasp and understand the difference between when awareness essentially is in your mind and awareness is in your body. It's very, very simple, it's not complicated. It's not complicated at all. And it's very, very useful to understand the difference. In that at any time, whilst we're awake and whilst we are conscious, our awareness can be mostly in our thoughts. And that's really what the mind or the head consciousness means. We are thinking, and not just thinking, but we're paying attention to our thinking process. And at any time, it could also be in our body, which means our awareness, our attention is on the sensations of our body, which is, raw sensations and also emotions, feelings. And, that is so simple. When I say it, it sounds ridiculously simple, but it is very, very useful to understand the difference just on a personal experiential level. Because what happens in our world, really, in reality, and what happens in most people's lives, and why they get in a mess, essentially, and why they end up, seeking help, which may or may not come, is that their awareness is simply too much based in thinking. It's like, we have become so addicted or habituated to thinking about life and thinking about who we are and how we're going to get our needs met. When I look back at it myself, it's almost like a parasite at some point, some kind of parasite. And this is actually one theory in if you study elements of information theory, meme psychology. A parasite has come into your brain like something out of a science fiction movie, and has started taking over. And in many ways, this is a kind of way of what's happened. It's been promising the parasitic entity, the thinking process, parasitic memeplex, if you want to even go into this stuff, has been taking over and has been spewing out thoughts, all of which promise that you're going to get your needs met better. But generally, what happens is you don't. And all the time that we spend investing in thinking, we're coming out of our body. And our body is our primary area where we connect with life, where we feel alive. I'm 58, I'm 59 next month, And something I've really learned over the years, I've really learned is, the value of being in the body. It's like when I was younger, I was always seeking something. Before I started getting into therapy or alternative stuff, you go out at night and you drink, feeling not good in the day, you smoke weed, take drugs. This is what I was doing habitually, using drugs, using substances, initially ones that were just recreational drugs, then drugs which were, allegedly more to do with enhancing your awareness or whatever. But the underlying kind of mechanism in my own brain was the same. It's like, I want to get out of where I am. And now what I see, at my age now, and I feel like it's taken me quite a long time, is that simply being present in my body is far more satisfying than actually a lot of the highs I was chasing before. Simply being present in my body, in this ground. So, it's really something as well. When we look at mysticism or spirituality, and people want to get more spiritual, or they want to get into mysticism, they want to know God or whatever, they go to their mind. So many people go to their mind. They read books about spirituality. They learn about gods, goddesses, archetypal states, chakras, whatever you want to name it. We're going to this bookstore in our mind, And actually, if you just feel your body enough, what you realize is there is no disconnection. There is no disconnection in the world. It's deep. It's a deep thing. I was into the tarot many years ago when I started getting into alternative stuff, and they have this tarot key, the high priestess, and her body kind of dissolves in the ocean, usually in kind of esoteric versions of it. And yeah, this is a bit in the mind, but it's a useful image, that when you start to really open up and feel the body, open up all the muscle systems, you realize, whoa, I'm connected. I am not separate. I've been trying to heal this separation by thinking about strategies to heal it, but actually I just need to come back in the body and feel. And you realize, hey, I am connected. I am presence. Connected to God. You're connected to everything. It's not this seeking again, seeking, striving. And this is where bioenergetics comes in, and because it's one thing to say, okay, I'm going to pay attention to my body. But the reality is, for most people over the age of 2 or 3, is they're really not used to paying attention to their body. And the part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex up here, has been using the body to just dump stuff in there that it thinks it doesn't fit in with your personality and who you want to project outwards. Traumatic stuff that could have been cleared and let out as we got older has been kept in. We've allowed ourselves to become conditioned to try and be a certain kind of person, and again, repress. And so the body has been used as this dumping ground, and it is no longer for most people so easy to be in the body, to really feel the body, to feel your legs, sensation of the legs, energy streaming to earth, to feel your belly, your feet, to feel your neck, your chest, your heart, to feel it. It's really not so common anymore. And it's not a straightforward thing just to come back. Okay, I just pay attention to my body and I'm back. The reality is, because we've been using it as a dumping ground, it is now full of holding patterns. And so the practice of bioenergetics is slowly to open up those holding patterns and allow that tension out. Or areas of your body which have become like no-go zones, it's like a science fiction movie, man. It's like a science fiction movie, the body, what's happened to it, We've created these no-go areas where we've kind of locked off, or where we're afraid to enter because the emotional intensity is so high around your sexuality, around your belly and your power, to slowly open up all these areas. This is what bioenergetics is doing. And this is also incidentally why, when I'm practicing and I'm teaching, I'm focusing a lot on the legs, ankles and belly as well. Other parts of the body as well, for sure. But that's very important. If you're not connecting to the earth, if your legs are riddled with holding patterns, then, whatever bioenergetics or whatever therapy or whatever mind technique you use, all the energy is going to be held in your upper body. It's not going to be healthy for you in the long run. The feeling of connection to the earth is very, very important, and it's a tangible thing. You actually feel it, and you have to work for it. The chances are you have to undo a lot of what your prefrontal cortex has been doing for some decades, and just do that slowly and progressively without beating yourself up and without taking escape routes. You have to come back into the body, and then you are connected to life. You don't need to go to your mind so much for things. You don't really need to do that anymore, and I'm not saying like I never think, my mind's very active. I always had a very quick, active mind. It may have been genetic. It may have been something that as a reaction to my environment and my upbringing, and certain harshnesses that were going on in my life, I learned to think really quickly and to be able to, calculate what was going to happen in the near future or likely to happen so I could protect myself. But, I see increasingly in my own life, I don't really need to think a great deal about stuff. It's just not really necessary. I can feel from my body and then take effective action. I'm on a slow, long journey with it. So, to recap a little bit, it is very useful for the individual who's on any kind of developmental path to become aware, hey, am I in my body or am I in my mind? you know, right now, in this moment, and then to progressively come back into the body. I'm reminded, like, you know, the Bible and stuff, you know, I was never a big Christian and that kind of thing, you know, but like, there's this idea of the devil, you know, the devil is the fucking mind. That's basically what it is, you know. It's there in plain daylight in our experience throughout pretty much every moment of our lives, certainly when it comes online at about age 2 or so. You know, the devil is the mind in a way. You know, it's one way of looking at it. It's not like it's so terrible, but it's basically constantly trying to pull you into this thought world and promise you things. You know, it's like a really flash kind of guy in a flash suit, you know, on YouTube or on television, you know, telling you, if you just give me money for this, I'm going to, you know, you can learn this, you can do this, you can do this, you can learn how to do this. There's nothing really wrong with it. And in many ways, it's kind of a vital part of life. But the reality is, it's a bullshit merchant of the first order. It's a bullshit merchant. And as you get more in your body, as you practice bioenergetics daily and get more in your body, the power of those stories loses their strength, you know. The energy that this fast buck merchant living inside our mind has decreases. And your connection to the source increases. And you know, if you connected to the source, why are you going to keep going outside of yourself to get stuff? It's coming out of a belief of separation. And as that separation progressively reduces, so your need to go to your mind and to think about life and to think about who you are simply decreases. It simply decreases. It's a slow journey. And in many ways, it probably has to be a slow journey, because if it was just like, you know, very, very instant or something, it would be very, very shocking. You know, it'd be very, very shocking. When we've been living for a long time, thinking about the life, about world and ourselves and life and how we get what we want, and, you know, constantly taking our attention up here into the mind. When you've been doing that for a long time, if you suddenly get pulled back into your body, it's going to be like a shock. It's going to be like, you know, jumping in ice water and stuff, and you're going to jump out again, and you're going to be in a lot of reactions. So I like this bioenergetics, but it's a slow journey back into the body. Slow journey back, bringing the attention slowly down and starting to open up the muscle system to re-inhabit the body, to live inside the body, to not need all these thought patterns and behaviors so much, to have a choice anyway. You know, my mind is still super active. I will still go out with my mind and be someone, you know. But I don't, you know, if any time I don't want to do that, I can come back. I can come back into the body and simply be, you know. It's like just coming into presence. Okay, so thank you for listening to this video. If you're intrigued by bioenergetics, you know, keep doing it. Check out my channel. Check out Bioenergetics, The Journey, 52-week online intensive. Details below. But keep doing the bio. Your mind will keep coming up with stories why you should stop. You're being challenged, basically. You're being challenged. You're going to stop, you're going to do what the mind says and stop, or you're going to stay with it. Your choice.